Hey friends, welcome back to the house this week for another drink with us. It's been a minute. We have been incredibly busy. First, a tornado hit our area of town.
Yep.
Then 4 days with no power, followed by our wedding. Then we both got sick. And of course, we can't enjoy spirits when neither of us are actually feeling that great.
It's hard to smell when you can't smell.
Yeah. No, we didn't catch COVID. We just caught some nasty colds from somebody. And then we had to travel for family. And we finally just finished to clean up from the tornado damage. So it has been a crazy month almost, I'd say, since we were able to do our last review. Mm-hmm. But we have been anxiously waiting on when we can squeeze one of these in. And this was one that we were going to actually do a review with close friends during our wedding time, but it just did not work out. We let them sample it, but we just had to sit around and watch them enjoy it while... Yeah.
Who tried it?
Mason, Marco, Todd.
Yeah. All of your friends tried it.
Yeah, all of my friends.
Way to go, Art. Way to go, Art.
So this week we are going to review Akashi Japanese whiskey, and this is Eigashima's flagship product. Now, something cool about this is that it's actually fermented and distilled in the colder months of September through March, just quite a bit different than your typical whiskey. And now this is a blended one, so Akashi is actually their base for their ume. Now, if you didn't see that prior video, ume is the plum-infused whiskey that we ended up picking up. And that episode will have a full review of that, as well as more of the history on the distillery. Ume was one of those just traveling, looked down a different aisle, wanted to get something different, and I love plums, so it just called to me. And it was amazing. Definitely my gateway into Japanese whiskey, and now I want to try more. So I'm excited about this one.
Very excited about this one because really, with it being the base of the ume, you get to taste it before all of those plum infusions and how it really is enjoyed before, any alterations.
Yeah. So what are they saying that this should promise us? What are they saying that we should experience from it?
Well, so Akashi promises to be an excellent introduction into Japanese whiskey. So we just kind of skipped over all of your typical Japanese whiskeys and we jumped right into flavor infused and rice, and now we're kind of circling back and reapproaching Japanese whiskey really as it's known for. So the flavors of Japanese whiskey oftentimes really are familiar and more like a Scotch. So Eigashima says this is really a good segue into Scotch. So if you're a Japanese whiskey fan, you're probably gonna like Scotch. This is probably your gateway whiskey to learning more of those Scotch flavors. So it is distilled from wheat, barley, and rye. So not fully like a Scotch because you have wheat and rye in there. And clearly nothing like a bourbon, there's no corn.
Yeah.
And it does have notes of peat, which is a very familiar Scotchy flavor. So
here we go.
With the notes of peat.
That could be a turnoff right there for me.
This whiskey is going to be aged from used bourbon barrels, barley shochu barrels, and sherry barrels. So that's
quite
a lot.
the combo.
That's a lot where like the blend kind of comes in.
Okay.
So you're taking the same mash profile and then you're aging it in all of these different barrels and kind of mixing it in.
Okay. All right. So that's good. It's a little bit different on the blended than what I initially thought of.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Scotch fan. So
I don't like peaty scotches.
yeah, so if this is a gateway into Scotch, I'm not sure how I'm going to like this. Based on our friends' expressions, it was a little bit harsh for them.
Really?
It wasn't as smooth as maybe I had talked it up to be. But I'm curious on how this one will taste.
Did you lie to them?
I did not lie to them. No, it's just the Japanese whiskey. Sometimes it's the allure of it. You know, it's Japanese whiskey. So
I've had some truly phenomenal Japanese whiskeys that aren't heavily peated, and I've had some Japanese whiskeys that, you know, I may as well just go eat a mouthful of dirt. So, and the same goes for Scotch. The Scotches that I prefer from Highlands and Speyside tend to be on the sweeter. They don't have very significant notes of peat in them, and I've tasted some very peaty Scotches that, once again, I may as well just go eat a mouthful of dirt. So
what are they saying the notes are for this one?
So we have notes and palate have been described. So the nose is supposed to be slightly fruity with hints of lemon and cherry, toffee, oats, and that sea air that Eigashima is known for.
Okay. That sounds wonderful.
It sounds interesting. It sounds a little citrusy, a little fruity, maybe a little woody.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded almost like a vacation, except for with oats thrown in there.
Oats.
Yeah.
You sow your oats.
on the beach. We are really getting off the track now.
So the palate is supposed to be vanilla and pine nuts, and then leading into a long wheaty finish with just a touch of peat.
Well, let's jump into it and see. Is that light, or you want more?
No, that's good.
Okay.
That's good for starting. You know, peat scares me away. Peat's very scary.
Yes. Damn that peat.
Damn peat.
It smells very light.
Yeah, I can see the sea air for sure.
It's got a nice smell to it. It smells very light.
It does. It smells incredibly light. I'm not picking up on too much of the. I mean, it smells fruity, but I don't know that I could describe it as lemon or cherry. And the toffee's almost like an afterthought for me.
Yeah, I can tell where the cherry's coming from. It's light, but it's there. Okay. Cheers. Okay. I can taste the peatiness there.
I can.
Yeah. But it is not bad. It's not overwhelming. It is very light, very small hug. Mm-hmm. It's got a nice light flavor to it. It's actually pretty good.
I had to go look up the ABV because I see now where our friends were talking about it being a little harsher than they were expecting. This is 40% alcohol by volume, which it doesn't taste like a 40% alcohol by volume. It does taste like it has a stronger proof.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely the weedy finish to it.
I like the weedy finish. The peat, I would describe the peat flavor right there. I think they nailed it. Touch of peat. So this is something I think would make a really solid rusty ale. And I absolutely agree. I think this is truly a gateway into Scotch. You have the touch of sweetness from the barley and the rye that pairs really, I'm sorry, the wheat and the rye that pairs really well with that peated barley flavor. So it's really kind of balanced. I would say this is a good middle of the road flavor. Now, a real Scotch is going to be 100% barley. So I think finding a real Scotch that has this level of peatiness would be very difficult. But with the flavors between the sweetness and the peat, it would enable you to decide which region you're going to go to when looking at what kind of Scotch you may be interested in.
Well, unlike a lot that kind of put out what their notes are going to be or what they say you should taste from a palate standpoint, this is really spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Every bit of that you taste. The vanilla is very light there at the beginning, but the transitions on how they say that it's going to go really is there for me. And it's delicious.
It is.
Yeah, it is really good. Now, is it as delicious as the ume? I love fruit-infused spirits, so I can't say that this is better than that just because of where my sweet tendencies kind of take me. But short of it being infused with anything, this is fantastic.
I think this is excellent on its own. Might put an ice cube in it in the future just to soften some of that harshness.
Yeah, cut it just a little bit.
Cut it just a little bit.
But it's not necessary.
I think it would open up a lot more of the flavors too, to add just a touch of that clean filtered water.
Well, thank you all for joining us, albeit a short episode, but that was by design, and we'll be able to jump back into our regular schedule. We've got a backlog of very cool craft spirits from across the country that we've been able to pick up on our travels, and looking forward to sharing those with each of you. So make sure you stay tuned for some of that. But until then, stay safe, take care. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's really good. Very smooth. Small sip or bigger gulp. Very smooth.
Rusty nail all the way.
Yeah.